Hello everybody, hello and welcome to the Rapid Recall free webinar that I am doing this evening. My name's Tam, I'm the collie coach and I am your host this evening. I hope to give you some very useful tips to help with recall. Recall is a rather massive subject and it is something that generally people struggle with. It's something that is certainly not uncommon. You see it all the time, and it's really hard to try and have your dog's focus and attention when the outside world is full of things like squirrels and deer and dogs and fox poo and cow poo and whatever else that they want to go after. So hopefully this free webinar will give you some tips, and there is a special offer at the end as well if you want to know more. So let's dive in. So I will share my screen so I can go through my slides with you. Now bear with me because it's been a long time since I've done a webinar. Please let me know if you can't see my screen or if there's any problems. Right, we don't want that one on. We want this one on. I will stop my video so you don't have to look at my face while I'm talking. Guys up there. Okay, so can everybody see that okay? Awesome. Shout up if you can't see it. So welcome to the Rapid Recall. Get your dog's recall from sad to rad in 3 simple steps. Now, like I say, recall is a bit of a massive subject, but these are kind of boiled down tips just to help with kind of the foundations of recall, because it is a relationship that needs building. It needs for you to have this good connection with your dog and for your dog want to be with you. So let's get started. Who am I? So some of you on here will know who I am and some of you will not. I'll just be this random person who popped up probably on Facebook to say, oh, who wants to learn about recall? So my name's Tam Wilson. I'm a dog walker and dog trainer based in Eggleston in Barnard Castle. This is me here with my girls and me out on the bike. I've got border collies. We've got 4 at home and a fairly wild 6-year-old daughter called Thea. She is more hassle than all the dogs put together. My business was established in 2010 in Barnard Castle, and I was just an ordinary dog walker. Last year, I wrote a book while in lockdown called Collie Chaos to Calm. There it is there. Just kind of a nice, simple guide to help people with their crazy collies. Last year and this year, I was the winner of the Prestige Awards Dog Walk of the Year for the County Durham area. I'm very proud of that. I put a lot of work in and it's nice to be recognised. I'm a lover of tea, mountains, all things canines, mountain bikes and beer, not necessarily in that order. So there's me in the lakes with my dogs. I did a charity bike ride in August where I was doing raising money for Dogs Trust. So that's me out on the bike there. And who are you? So if you've come onto this webinar, it's because you have trouble with recall, obviously. You're probably a frustrated dog owner. You might look a little bit like this after your dog's given you the run around. You might feel a little bit embarrassed when your dog isn't listening to you, when they run off and kind of makes you look a bit daft. Tired of your dog not coming back on calls. Maybe you've got to the point where you dread going out because you feel like you can't let them off the lead, which is not as much fun. You know, your dog might end up being a bit frustrated on the lead because they can't go and do the things that they want to do. And you want to have a better relationship with your dog. Now, I am no stranger to recall problems. I have this old lady here. This is Brenna. I've had Brenna for about 12 years. I got her from Dogs Trust in 2009. She was already an adult and there was a lot of ingrained problems with Brenna, one of which is her ability to disappear like magic. She was there 1 second and then the next you look and she was gone. And I had challenges with Brenna. I didn't know much about dog training then. I was quite kind of green around the gills when it came to what to do. I was a little bit old school then. I wasn't very up to date with training. It was lots of kind of being a bit harsh with them and kind of like, you know, just all the things that I learned not to do as time went by, and I learned more about dogs. Brenna's a very sensitive dog. She is very sensitive to the tone of my voice and things, which only made her recall worse because I would get really frustrated with her. Deer were her biggest downfall. She'd be off after deer. It was always a bit of a struggle to try and get her to come back because I'm not as interesting as a deer. And I would get really cross, and she could hear that in my voice, and that made her take longer to come back. Because why would she come back to me when I was ranting and raving like a lunatic standing in the woods shouting her name? So she's had her challenges over the years. She's 17. She has a spring in her step still, and despite having arthritis and being a little bit incontinent, she can still move it when she wants to. And if she gets her nose on a smell, rabbits are kind of her thing nowadays. She's a bit too old to be going after the deer. But if I don't keep an eye on her, then again, she can be off in the distance when you've blinked. She's still wily old girl. So that's kind of inspired me to do more dog training, because I was getting it wrong with Brenna and it was making the problem worse. And there is nothing worse than you standing with an empty lead in a field going, where the hell is my dog? I have had to put up posts on Facebook saying, my dog's gone missing. Has anybody seen her? And I felt like a right idiot, because as a professional dog walker, losing a dog, especially your own, is not what you want. So yeah, it kind of inspired me to learn more. So why is recall important? Well, safety, I think, is probably the top thing. A dog with no recall could get stolen, knocked over, injured, lost, or get into a fight with another dog. All of those things that you do not want. It's good manners. Not everybody wants a dog running over to them. Some people are in training with their own dogs, and a dog running up to them can kind of undo all the good work they're doing. Some people are afraid of other people's dogs. They might have a dog themselves, but they still might be a little bit wary of another dog running over. I myself have been attacked by a German Shepherd in the past. So if a great big German Shepherd came running over to me, I kind of would shit my pants a little bit. So there's that reason. And of course, having a good recall makes you look friggin' awesome in front of other dog owners, and they'll think you're magic. I think that's a really important one. You can be a little bit smug when your dog comes back and other people's don't. So I'm going to take you through 3 things I think are important as a good foundation to improve your recall. Now, one is do your K9 audit. Find out what toys and treats your dog really loves. I'll talk a little bit more about the K9 audit in the next slide. 2 is playtime. Why playing with our dogs is important, and why you need to be more interested in the outside world. Again, that is easier said than done, because dogs find things interesting that we don't, like poo and rotten carcasses and things. So we need to kind of be a little bit more interested in those things, which, like I say, is easier said than done. And why you need to do P.R.E training, pre-training, practice recall everywhere. And we'll talk about a couple of games to enhance your real world recall. Let's dive into the K9 audit. Guys, if you've got any questions as we go along, I'll keep checking the chat box, whack them in there, and we can talk about them at the end. Okay, I will keep checking for questions. Anything gravely important, I will I'll address it there and then. So, K9 audit. What is it and how do we do it? Now, this could be a webinar in itself, because there's quite a lot to it, but I'll take you through the bare bones of it. So what the K9 audit is checking out what your dog loves and what he'll work for, because every dog's different and they can be quite surprising in the things that they hold high value, which we may not think as high value, but to your dogs, they're like the holy grail. So we do the K9 audit for things like toys, food, affection, praise, cuddles, touches. All these things can be checked and ranked in order. We have a wide variety of toys or objects and get on the floor with the dog and play games with each item to see which one your dog prefers. So you probably already have like a basket of toys or something at home, or you are aware of something that your dog keeps going to, whether or not it's a toy or not. You know, we can talk about the non-toy items that dogs really find interesting, such as plastic bottles and old shoes, or a tea towel with a knot in it. You know, like I say, what dogs find interesting can vary massively. And as you get to know your dog, you know, if you've had them for X amount of years, you'll know that if they spot a plastic bottle on a walk, they go nuts for it. And all these things we can use, we just have to think about them in a safe manner, like we do with all toys. So try different food rewards, such as regular kibble, shop bought treats, cooked chicken, meat, pate, liver, cheese, fruit, veg, or whatever your dog deems high value. Even if you aren't up on body language, K9 body language, you should know your dog and you should know what they are interested in. So they will change depending on what toy they've got, or what item that they have and want to play with. You'll get to know that some things are way more interesting than the other toys. So you can see which ranks really high and which are just okay. So you repeat this with like praise and stroking and cuddles and touch and stuff, and see what your dog's like. Again, some dogs, there's a certain place you can touch them and stroke them where they really kind of like, oh yeah, that's the stuff. And there's other places they say, oh, no, don't like being touched there. You will know your dog, you'll know what's what with them. So after you've done that, you should know what the strongest tools are in your training box, and these are important for later on. Like I say, each dog will value something different. On this picture on the left here, this is some of the things I had in the house that the dogs in our house will work for. Here you've just got some shop bought treats. Lamb pate here, which they absolutely love. That's high value. Sorry,
do you have to do it on my knee?
Somebody chatting there. If you've got a question, type it up, or can you mute yourself? Otherwise, I'm going to lose my train of thought. My brain isn't switched on as it has been with having COVID. So if I lose my train of thought, that's it, I'll be done. So yeah, my dogs go mad for the lamb pate. That's kind of a really, really high value one. I use that when I'm teaching anything new. You've got regular kibble there. This is carrot and apple. Brenna, my old girl, she loves either of those things. A bit of cheese and a banana, surprisingly. I used to walk a dog who would go nuts for a banana. You got a banana out and you had his attention. And here is two of my collies. It's Brait and Taryn with a selection of their toys. You've got a Kong, you've got a Kong wubber, you've got a frisbee, a tuggy puller, some soft tuggy toys, a tuggy toy there, a tennis ball, and a squeaky space hopper. Taryn and Bray, both very different dogs, very different collies. If you've got two of the same breed, you will know that no two are the same. And they go mad for different things. Bray is tennis ball or the squeaky space hopper. Taryn loves these soft tuggy things. She will get them out and she'll sit with them all kind of around her all evening. That's kind of the thing that she likes to do. So for the K9 audit, remember all dogs are different and what they are willing to work for may surprise you. Like I say, things like plastic bottles, old shoes, tea towel, something like that might be way more interesting to your dog than any of the toys that you can buy from a shop. You know, all dogs are different. We just have to remember, safety wise, plastic bottles can get sharp edges, so don't let your dogs play with them then. You know, don't let your dogs, anything that can easily be chewed off and swallowed, you've just got to, like all toys, we've just got to be sensible about it. So once you find these extra special toys and food rewards, those are kind of your special things to keep just for when you're doing recall training. If you let your dogs have them all the time, they kind of lose their shine a little bit. But if your dog doesn't get them very often, but gets them when you're doing recall training, then is going to work hard for them because they're a little bit extra special. And just remember when you're using food rewards, just to reduce your dog's regular ration of food amount so that they don't get too podgy. It can be very easy to overdo it on the food rewards, as well as their regular food on top, and they can obviously put a bit of weight on, which is what we don't want for our dogs. We want to keep them nice and healthy. So we'll move on to playtime. Has anybody got any questions about that? If so, pop them into the chat box. I'll keep checking the chat and we can have a chat about them after. So playtime, the importance of fun in your dog's life. Just like us, dogs learn best through play. If we want our dogs to stick with us, we have to be the source of fun, games and tasty foods. Interacting with your dog on a walk and making the whole thing a game will mean your dog is focused on you, not what was going on around them. Play at home, in the garden and on walks. Engage your dog's superpower, their nose. A sniffing dog is usually calmer, more focused, and at the end of a session, tired out. Never underestimate the power of the nose, because it will take your dog's focus off what is going on around them and onto whatever they're sniffing. So if you become part of that sniffing game and you become the source of the things that they are sniffing out, then they're not interested in what is going on around them. They're going to be more interested in you. And the pre-training practice recall everywhere. So when is recall not a recall? When it's a game. Making a game out of your dog returning to you in lots of different places will make him more likely to turn to you when you really need him to. You practice in the house, in the garden, on walks, even when you don't need him to come back to you. If you only recall your dog when it's time for him to go on the lead and stop having fun, then he will quickly get wise to it and start playing silly buggers. So this is really important, and this is something that, again, it's overlooked because you get into the habit of only calling the dog to you when you want them for something, like putting their lead on, like to take them away from whatever game they've been playing, like to go home from the super exciting walk that they've been on, like to drag them away from the smells and cow poo and fox poo and whatever else they're rolling in. So they soon figure out that when you call them to you, the fun's going to end, and they start thinking, actually, no, I'm not happy for the fun to end. I'd like to keep going. So like people always say about collies, if you don't give them a job, they will become self-employed. Well, that is true for all the dogs when fun is lacking in their lives. If you are out walking your dog and you are not the source of fun, if you are not providing the entertainment and the games and the treats, they'll go and find it elsewhere, which is what a lot of problems people have. One thing I haven't put in here, but I should have done, was letting your dog play with the dogs. Again, that could be a whole webinar all on its own. If anybody's ever followed any of my stuff, you will know that I am very much against letting dogs roughhouse with lots of other dogs. I think it makes them dog obsessed and dog focused. And if they are getting all their fun from playing with other dogs, then they're not listening to you. And you might think, oh, but I go out with a load of other dogs and they're their friends and they love it and blah, blah, blah. But what might happen is that focus might shift from the dogs that they think of as friends and go on to a random dog in a field, the other side of the field, or through the woods somewhere. And when that happens, you've lost your dog and your dog is off having the time of his life somewhere else, probably with an irate owner at the other end of the field who's not happy that this dog's coming to try to play with their dog. Now, a lot of people think dogs to be social, they kind of need this in their lives, and they really don't. Being social isn't about playing with every other dog that they see or roughhousing or doing any of that. It's about being okay with the world and not being afraid of it, not reacting to it in a negative way. It's about getting used to how things are. It's about your boundaries and your rules so that you can keep them safe. Again, we'll go back to the safety aspect. If your dog hasn't got a recall and he's off harassing other dogs or running off after a smell, there's roads, there's people who still leave snares in woods and stuff. You've got all these things to think about. In dog thieves, people find a dog, you or I might try and get that dog back to its home. The wrong person picks that dog up and that dog's gone forever. you know, you're never going to see your dog again. And that's really scary. And I have been in that position with Brenna when she's done her thing and she's just disappeared. And there was one night she disappeared overnight. She was getting older and she wasn't very happy about something in the house. It was the rabbits making a noise. She was very noise sensitive. I let her out for a wee one night. She slipped away in the dark while I was sorting out my other dogs. And honestly, I was thinking the worst. There was no sign of it. I couldn't go out and look for her because my daughter was in bed and I couldn't leave her. I was thinking, my God, there's roads, there's who knows what people doing what out in the night. You know, she could fall down and hurt herself and injure herself, be kind of lying in a ditch. You know, all these things were going through my mind going, am I ever going to get her back? And she was getting on then. She was about 14 or 15. And I thought, my God, like, she's not a spring chicken anymore. It only takes, you know, a slip to break her leg or whatever. And then how would I ever find her? So all these things go through my mind when she's done that. And yeah, it's scary. And the idea that you're not going to see your dog again is quite worrying. So to me, it's like, it's a no-brainer. And it's just why I discourage dogs playing with other dogs, because you want your dog to think you're the best thing on the planet, not other dogs. And that way you're going to have more fun with your dog. And it builds a bond. The more games and things that you play, the more you are going to have your dog's attention. So when I take my dogs out, they generally know I've got a toy in my pocket and they know I've got treats in my pocket. And I still now reward them for recall, even though they are, you know, the oldest one's 17, and then we've got a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old. I still reward them now because it's still a game. It's still kind of like, oh, come and get me. And you get your reward. And I even Taryn, one of my colleagues, I've kind of conditioned her to be happy when she sees a lead, because I've paired it with good things happening. So for Taryn, she knows that going on the lead isn't the end of the game. So I'll take you through a couple of games you can play actually with your dogs. So one really good game to play, you can play this in the house and in the garden first, where there's no distractions and you're not gonna lose your dog. You can play Just Chase Me, where you kind of playing with your dog and you get them all excited and you kind of like, are you ready, and get them like really, really hyped up, and then you just sprint to the other end of the room or out of the room and into the next room, and your dog will go, oh my God, this is so fun, I need to chase you, and your dog will come running after you. And when your dog comes to you, if you just drop a load of treats on the floor at your feet, that's his reward for coming to you. And oh, what a good boy, what a good girl, oh, that's awesome. And that's a really, really simple game that you can play just around the house in the garden. So you kind of get them all kind of hyped up and like, are you ready? Are you ready? Are we going to have a game? And then you just start running and they will chase you. They really will chase you, because dogs love to chase things. And if you're the thing that's the most interesting thing happening in that room, they're going to want to stick with you. So that's a really, really fun game to play. And like I say, you can play it in the house and garden. You can do it outside if you are happy that your dog isn't just going to take off, or you could put a long line on them so that you've got a little bit more control. But yeah, you can play it in the field. Again, with the treats, dropping them at your feet is really good, because then they haven't to sniff them up and use their nose. And a good one as well, kind of like that, is when you are out with them and you have a handful of treats, throw them in the long grass and tell them to find it. So get their nose working through the grass. That not only will tire them out, because using their nose is massive energy suck on their brain, because it just takes so much to kind of use their nose to find the things. And then as they're doing that, you move away from them, and when they look at you, tell them they're good boy or good girl, and then drop more treats in the grass, and they come next to you where you've dropped the treats, and they have to find treats. And if you keep doing that every kind of 5 or 10 paces, they learn that being next to you is very rewarding. It's really interesting, and sniffing will take their mind off everything else that's going on. So you kind of, if you're really into a TV show or something that you're doing, or a book or anything, and somebody comes in and speaks to you and you kind of don't hear them, and you're like, what was that? and you know, your brain is just so focused on the thing that you do, and you're not even registering what they're doing. It's like that for dogs when they're sniffing. They will get lost in that world of scent, and they will ignore everything else that's going on. So that's a really, really fun one to play with them too. I like that one. Me and my dogs, we still play that one. I find the toys as well. I hide the toys for them to go and find. They love a game of hide and seek and find it. Okay. So recall do's and don'ts. So do practice recall everywhere on a daily basis. This is not something that just needs to be done when you want your dog to come back to you. This is something you can keep doing all throughout the walk, make it really rewarding every time they come back to you. And then, the more you do it, the better they get at it. So do have fun as well. Training is meant to be fun. It's not meant to be a slog. It's not meant to be something that the both of you dread. Fun is kind of the thing that makes training work much better. If you or your dog are getting frustrated, then just end any training sessions and try again later. Nobody learns when they're frustrated and stressed out. Our brains just don't work like that, and dogs are the same. So don't be afraid to just kind of, this isn't working, let's try again later when we're both a bit calmer. Do take steps back if needed. The process isn't linear. Dogs or animals, they have moods and emotions. Things can get in the way. So your training could be going really well. For example, say you've got a young dog, 5-6 month old, your recall's been absolutely spot on. You're thinking, yeah, I have absolutely nailed this. I am awesome. Then all of a sudden adolescence hits and your dog suddenly has this rush of hormones, and they suddenly have the confidence that they didn't have, and they think, actually screw you human, I'm just going to test the boundaries a little bit here, I'm going to go and check out a few things over here. That's absolutely normal, and it's the same with any dog. Their moods and hormones and environment dictate a lot about how they're feeling and about how they move forward with something. It's exactly the same for us. We can get setbacks because we've spilt our coffee on the morning, or we've lost our car keys or something. It doesn't take much sometimes to knock us back. So don't be afraid to just take it back to where it was working and try it again. Do end all training positively with fun games and reward. So you might have finished your official air quotes training with fun and games, and you've been doing all the fun stuff, but then just at the end, just tell them they're really good. Give them a really good fuss and a good love, and give them a little treat and play the little game with the toy that you've been using, and just make it all great, because the next time they're going to want to do more of that. If you end something badly, then they're not going to want to try it again, or they might be more reluctant and not quite as into it. So some don'ts. Don't use your dog's name for recall. This is another one that is really common. People just call their dog's name and expect their dogs to come for that. Excuse me, I need just a little drink of water there. Your dog's name is just to get their attention. It is not for recall. It's like me walking out with my friend and just saying like, Sarah, 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 and she'll go, what? I don't know what you want, what? And because I haven't done it, I'm just saying her name over and over again. And she's like, well, I'm looking at you, what do you want? It's the same for dogs. So you use your dog's name, they'll look at you, and unless you then give them kind of the instructions about what you want next, then they're just going to look at you and go, what? I don't know what you want. And plus you can overuse a dog's name and it can just become white noise to them, especially if you've already having trouble with recall with them. Don't call them with anger in your voice. I know this is a hard one, and I was bad for it when not long after I got Brenna, and before I knew much about dog training, because oh god, it was so frustrating when she'd run off and I'd be standing in the woods and I could see her in the distance chasing this deer, and I'd be like, Brenna, and of course she wasn't going to come back to me when I'm screaming her name and like kind of steam coming out of my ears and stuff. I don't blame her, and no wonder it took longer the next time, because when she did come back, I'm like, Brenna, what have you been doing? Oh my god. And I'd be just so kind of cross with her. But yeah, it's like us. If we kind of go up to somebody and then get chastised for doing it, you think, oh, I'm not going to go near you next time. I think I'll hang back. exactly the same for the dogs. So that kind of ties in with the next one, is don't punish your dog for coming back, even if it takes them 20 minutes, because in the end, they did come back. It's not what you wanted. It's not the recall that you wanted, but eventually they did come back. So to make that happen faster in the future, you need to not be a kind of raging beast when they come back, because the next time it'll take them 30 minutes to come back rather than 20. And don't chase your dog. If your dog is running off after other dogs, you chasing it is never, ever going to work out, because dogs can always run faster than humans, and he thinks it's a game. It's like, oh, humans chasing me. Awesome. Let's get this game on. You will get tired before your dog will. Oh, let's just check the chat there. Okay, that's fine. Getting a bit sore throat. Okay, so that is the bare basics. That's the foundation that I like to tell everybody how to build their recall on. Now, like I said at the beginning, recall is massive. It's a massive subject. It takes more than the 41 minutes I've been on here live to go through it all. And every dog is different, and we have to kind of look at all the different angles and all the different things we do and all the different things that we don't do to make the process speed up. Plus, you've got the differences between working with a young dog to working with an older dog who has perhaps had this behavior ingrained, where they run off and have their fun with their other dogs or chasing deer or whatever. So it's always a little bit more difficult to undo the things that the dogs are well practiced in. It's much easier to deal with this when your dog is young, because they haven't had the months or years of this behavior. The more you practice, the better you get at it. So just think of that kind of when you're thinking about how your dog isn't coming back. So the special offer I mentioned at the beginning is this. It's a big fat thank you for watching this webinar. And I have a rapid recall online course, which is starting next month, that I usually sell for £75. But for you guys who have checked out my webinar, either live or got the replay, you can have this for only £55. So that's a saving of £15, and that works out at less than £15 a week. I think it £13.75 to be exact. You can learn the skills needed to get Rover to return with you without leaving the comfort of your own home. However, there is a however. You have to book in with this before 10 p.m. on the 31st of October to get it in the price now. I will drop the link into the comments, and I will post the link when I post the email out with the recall in tomorrow. Oh, I can hear my voice go. Of how to book in and how to pay. But oh yes, I forgot I had this slide in my COVID brain. So what do you get at £55? Well, you get 3 weeks of training plus week 4 for Q&A session, where we can talk about your personal recall issues. So we can have kind of like a session where we just talk about what you are specifically struggling with on recall and how we can help that. I'll have handouts of all the course material that I'm going to go through. So I will email that out to you, so you'll have it all written down as well. And you get all of access to all this for life. So once you've paid for it, that's it. You can have it. You can watch it again. You can do whatever you want with it. It's yours. It's free for life after that. So any questions? This is my guys. That is my wild 6-year-old here. This is Moxie. He's the oldest. He's second oldest. He is 13. Brenna's the oldest. And Braid 11, and Taryn, and a bonny sunset in Teesdale. Have you got any questions? Feel free to unmute and ask now as well, because my train of thought, stop sharing. My train of thought will return to normal. So let me know if you have any questions, or let me know, was that simple enough for everybody to understand. You know, I'm not trying to be patronizing there, but sometimes as a dog trainer, we end up throwing an awful lot of information at people and they stare at us with kind of blank faces, just kind of nodding along, and not much of it goes in. I tried to make it so that it was pretty simple to understand, so you could take it away and use it kind of now. So just let me know. I'll put my ugly one back on. Oh, you see my teddy on the bed in the background. Yes, well, that is very common because they figure out what is going to happen. They have got wise, because collies are clever, that the fun is about to end on lead. So that's something I go through in my course as well. But basically, you have to change the association that they have in their head. So your collie knows that they come to you, you're about to put the lead on, you're about to go off and do something boring in your collie's mind. Collie wants to keep playing. Collie knows that you calling them to you means that the fun's ending, which is why I talked about practicing recall everywhere all the time, because you don't want to get your dog to the point where it figures out that recall means fun ending. So like I talked about before, you do lots of recall and then you don't put them on the lead. Maybe you have the lead in your hand and you play a game with them and reward them, and then you just carry on walking. And then the dog thinks, oh, actually, I wasn't put on the lead then. And again, you try that again. Oh, come and have a game. Play a game, get the treats out, do some sniffing, do some fun stuff, let them go. Eventually, they kind of change the wiring in their brain so that they haven't got that association. It takes a lot of work, and especially with clever collies who kind of figure you out and know your body language. So they will know when you are really going to put them on the lead or when you're faking it. So if you just have the lead in the hand, because you'll do a certain sequence of things and your collie will go, it's different this time, she's about to put me on the lead. So you need to kind of build it up so that, yeah, maybe sometimes you do put them on the lead, but then after 2 minutes you let them off again and you have another game. Again, I'll go through all of this on the course. Let me find that link actually while I'm thinking of. I can't minimize when I'm recording. Can I find? I'll pop that link in for payments. So this is the link to book and pay. Once you paid, I'll get an email and I'll add you to the list, and we will have a kind of group just for the people on the course. New environment, yeah, because it's exciting. You know, like we like going new places that we haven't been before, and we want to have a look at everything, and we don't want somebody dragging us off, saying, no, don't look at that, come over here, don't sniff that. You know, we're going this way, we're going to do that. We kind of have to be in the environment with them, doing fun stuff with them, so that it's not just you walking the dog and the dog doing its own thing. It's you and the dog together, exploring that environment together, playing games in that environment, being with each other in that environment. It's really hard. Again, like I say, if they've had, gosh, you can tell it's getting late and I'm tired. I'm just causing absolute havoc. Have this one for the outtakes. I wonder if I could edit these. Yeah, but like I lost my train of thought there, sorry. But yeah, new places, they're very exciting. And again, it's trying to make yourself as exciting as those things, which is hard, because if your dog has practiced these for any length of time, they get very good at it. You know, the more we do something, the more kind of connections in our brain, the more those neurons get fired and get stronger. And for dogs, it's exactly the same. They will have this hardwiring that has gone on, and it's really hard to undo it. It's not possible, but it will take a little bit more work. And remembering the breed as well, and their characteristics, and using those to your advantage. Every breed is different. Yes, I'll be teaching recall games in the course. Yeah, like I say, a big part of everything that I teach is us being this kind of fun center for our dogs. So it's all about the games. It's all about having fun together. And it sounds very hard work and very energetic, but you kind of just have to put the foundation work in, and then it becomes a lot easier. I don't constantly play games with my dogs when we're out. Sometimes we do just walk along and, you know, they just potter and sniff and do dog things. But I still do, you know, play a game. Every now and again, I'll get a toy out, I'll hide it in the grass and they go and find it, or I'll sprinkle some treats on the floor, or they come to me and I reward them and then I let them go again. Other than Brenna, who was still at 17, a little monkey, and I didn't have her from a puppy. So everything that she had when I got out was like well ingrained, and it's taken, and I made so many mistakes in the beginning. Like I said, she was a very, very sensitive dog, and I did things all wrong with her, and it kind of broke the trust between us. And that relationship took a long time to rebuild because she didn't trust me. So, and she didn't know how to play with toys when I first got her. She just was, I don't think she'd ever seen a toy before in her life. I tried to teach her agility using toys, and she was like, no, I don't want to work for that, thanks, that's not interesting. So then with Brenna, I had to be a bit more inventive with things to get her more interested in the toys and food, so that we could do these things kind of on the agility course and out in the real world. So yeah, we need to be this fun center so that our dogs gravitate to us and they kind of orbit around us. I like to see my dogs all the time. I like to know where they are, which is getting harder now they're getting older, because Bray, my 11-year-old collie, is going a bit deaf. She's not completely deaf, but she is very sound sensitive to the sounds that she can hear. And with a noisy 6-year-old, that is just, it's like a recipe for disaster. So if my daughter squeals or does anything kind of high pitched laughing, Bray's just like, phew, she's off, and she doesn't want to come back because it's painful sound to her, because her world is so kind of quiet now that when those sounds do come through, it's like, oh my God, that's like, you know, if you've heard a 6-year-old, you know that is a hard noise to deal with, even when you're a human. So it can be really bad for the dogs, but I still like to have them nearby. And up until recently, Bray never went out of my sight, and Taryn's the same, my youngest collie. Moxie wasn't really mine. He's my partner's dog, and he's just got tunnel vision for my partner. He's very much a one-person dog. He'll listen if he knows I've got the lamb pate in my pocket, so I still use those tricks with them. But yeah, I like to be able to see my dogs, and I've created it so that they know I am the keeper of good stuff. I've got the toys, I've got the treats, I've got the games, I'm the source of fun. And that just has made everything else so much easier. I mean, with Brenna, I had to rebuild that relationship with her, which even now is still on shaky ground if I get a little bit frustrated and kind of the tone seeps into my voice, and you can see I kind of like, oh no, I remember this and I don't like it. So you've got to be really careful, especially with sensitive dogs. I don't know if your collie's particularly sensitive, but I found all of mine are sensitive in one way or another, and it's a bit of a collie thing. But yeah, games that are just games and fun, and to be in the fun center, that's kind of, it is the core of an awful lot of the things I teach. And generally the things that people come to me with involve are like recall and loose lead walking and not listening when they're out, and kind of barking at the door and all this kind of thing. And I think a lot of it that I teach on a foundation level is this building the relationship and building this kind of fun relationship between handler and dog, because modern life often I find gets in the way, and we end up clipping the lead on our dog and we go for a walk, and sometimes we don't even speak to our dog because we're thinking about the bills. Oh, bloody fuel's gone up again, and oh, my energy company's just gone bust, and all this kind of shit that goes on in our head, and our dog's thinking, oh, it's so dull, like I'm gonna have to go and find my own fun. But if you engage a bit more in that walk with your dog and engage at home with games and kind of get to know what they love and what they don't love, and you can use that to your advantage. And again, using breed traits to your advantage as well, which is something I will talk about on the course too. Because every dog is different. Of course, every dog within a breed is very different as well. Not every collie is ball obsessed, believe it or not. Not every collie wants to chase cyclists. Not every collie is interested in sheep. They're all very different, but generally you will have breed specific things within the breed that you can use to your advantage. Not sensitive. Well, yes, that's quite. So my partner's dog Moxie, the red merle, he has a nudge on him with his nose, which kind of you come and you nudge my arm, and no kidding, my arm will do this because his nudge is so like right, I want attention, I want something from you, I want you to either get my bowl and put food in it, or I want you to play this game with me. And yeah, they are very intelligent. I tell you what, dogs in general know us and our body language way better than we are ever going to know them. They know our movements before we do. They track our patterns and our behavior and things that we do that preempt a behavior. So sometimes before I decide I'm going to walk the dogs, I'll say, right. And as soon as I do that, the dogs all jump up and go, oh my God, we're going for a walk. Because they're just like, they know that me going, right, means that we're going to go, I'm going to get up and take them out. Somebody else, can't remember who it was, in one of my social groups said their partner switching off the iPad was the preempt for him going to take the dogs out. And the dogs knew when they heard the click of the iPad getting switched off, they knew that was a walk coming. So yeah, our dogs, they know us way better than we can ever know them sometimes, because they spend their days watching us, believe it or not. They just watch everything that we do and they figure us out fairly quickly. You don't have to have a dog in your life for long for them to figure out your routines and your body language and the things that you're going to do before you do something else. So we need to do that with our dogs. For the running off and the bolting and stuff, we need to have a look at what preempts that, because there will be a pattern. With Brenna, when she used to get the scent of a deer, if I could watch her and watch her body language and behavior change, so she would go still and her ears would go up and her nose would lift slightly because she was getting the scent. If I caught her then and said, Brenna, come on over here, we do this, I could stop her. If she'd already decided that she was going in the chase, nah, she was gone. And I just had to wait for her to finish doing what she was doing. So I got really good at watching Brenna, really good at kind of watching her behavior. Only she figured out I was really good at watching her. So what she would do is watch me. And if I got distracted by my phone or one of the other dogs and I looked away, she would go. And it'd be like she teleported. You look away and you look back and it's like, where the hell is Brenna? And she's this tiny kind of like little crossbreed, just not like a full collie, she's cross spaniel, I think. And she honestly looked like she just teleported. And all of a sudden she'd be like over there, or she'd come from a direction that you hadn't really figured I'd forgone it. And you're like, where the hell have you been, Brenna? But yeah, so we can watch them, but just remember they are watching you as well. So for the things for the kind of the Bolton thing, yeah, he will have figured out what your body language means, what your sequence of behaviors are leading up to. He's preempted that and he's decided, no, I'm not ready for the fun to be ending. I am going to do my own thing. So we need to tap into that, maybe change our own behavior. We need to have a look at our own chains of behavior and decide to change those so they mean something different, and change the associations in your dog brain for what you're about to do, which is, again, stuff I'll all go through in the course. So yeah, let's say recall is, it's massive. It's one of my favorite subjects because it's something that, done right from the beginning, can make a massive difference to your relationship with your dog, because you start dreading it if they are kind of nicking off, and you think, oh, I haven't got time for it today. I've got to get back because I've got this meeting. I've got to get to work. And then it makes you anxious. And then that kind of goes back onto the dog. And you might decide to put them on the lead for a bit longer because you can't be bothered to wait for them coming back or them nicking off. So they get a little bit frustrated, going, oh, I'm usually off having a little run around by now, but I'm on the lead. And it just kind of, the anxiety can build on both parties there. And it makes walks kind of not fun, and walks are meant to be fun. Like, one of the highlights of my day is going out with dogs. It's been absolutely hell being stuck in the house for the past 10 days, and I am so over COVID, even though I feel not 100%. Still, I lost my smell and my tastes. I couldn't smell or taste anything. They're kind of slowly coming back, and I'm tired. I'm so tired, but oh God, I can't wait to get out with the dogs tomorrow. But yeah, we've done a lot of games in the house and stuffed Kongs and kind of stuff in the garden to try and keep them entertained. But like I say, the fun's at the centre, and it's kept them happy. They've not been too bad. Granted, they are all kind of geriatric nowadays, but they also have springs in their steps, and they can all still cause havoc if they wanted to out and about. So yes, I'm going to stop talking in a minute because I can really feel my throat starting. I might actually lose my voice, which won't be very good for doing any more teaching or talking to clients. So if there is no more questions from the people who are on the call, I will wrap it up. And I will, oh, you're very welcome. I hope it's been useful to you. It's very much, it is very much a kind of very basic bare bones look at recall, because like I say, it's so massive. I could have made this webinar like 2 hours long, 3 hours long, if I really wanted to go into it. But I think that's a good foundation to start working on, and then you can build on that, which is what the course is kind of for, kind of people that want to do a bit more. It's having a cuddle, look at that, lush. Mine are all flat out downstairs. We played some games today, so they're all snoozy. So yeah, the link is in the comments there if you want to join the course. I will send the link out again in an email. I'm going to upload this to YouTube and then send the link out so you can have it again to watch. And obviously I'll send this out to the people who couldn't make it this evening. And all the details will be in the email as well. But you've got until Sunday to get it at the cheap price. I'm away at Scotland on Wednesday. I'm so glad my isolation finishes today, so I can actually go on holiday on Wednesday because it's half term. So we're going to go and get a bit soggy in Scotland, in the Highlands, which the dogs will love. Even Brenna, who's old and a bit rickety, but she still loves to have a run around. So yeah, don't be afraid to email me, guys. If you have any other questions, I'll happily answer them. I'll be answering emails until Wednesday when I go away, and then there'll be radio silence until I'm back. But anything you need to know, anything you've got to ask, please don't hesitate. I am here and I can talk about dogs all day. So always up for that. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming. And thank you very much, everybody who's listening on the replay. And hopefully I will see some of you on my course, which starts on the 8th of November. But I'll remember to stop recording, shall I? Thank you very much, guys. And hopefully I'll see you all soon. Thank you.